Well, hello there. Good evening and welcome to our August 7th, 2025 Kirkwood, Missouri City Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Yes. Mayor Gibbons is absent this evening. Deputy Mayor Zimmer.
Here.
Councilmember Lizzo. Here. Councilmember McLean.
Here.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Councilmember Jack
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Gibbons is absent this evening. I'm Mark Zimmer, Deputy Mayor of the City of Kirkwood, filling in for the mayor during tonight's meeting. Since there are no introductions, recognitions, presentations, nothing here, no public hearings, we're going to move straight to public comments.
The public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The deputy mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
Thank you. Just a couple comments, please. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you're over, I'll raise my hand and please finish your comments at that time. Mr. Weiler, do we have anyone wishing to speak tonight who's filled out a card?
Deputy Mayor and Council, there are a few requests this evening, the first being Paul Bauer.
Good evening. My name is Paul Bauer. My family and I have lived in the 400 block of South Holmes since 1988. In that time, we have had one vehicle at our front yard that bent over a young tree at about 2 a.m, have had one car go into our front yard in the afternoon while my wife was there with our, at that time, small children, and had a friend's car totaled overnight by a hit-and-run driver. I regularly see cars drive around school buses that have their stop signs displayed and see drivers barely slowing for stop signs. One day, I saw a driver do both. We recently had a pedestrian struck by an auto at Monroe and Holmes, and I've in the past almost been struck because I mistakenly thought that a driver would stop for a stop sign. I'm here to ask you to do something about the speeding and reckless driving on South Holmes. In various parts of Kirkwood, I've seen speed humps, signs that show the speed of drivers, and flashing stop signs. We have called the Kirkwood Police Department to tell them about the reckless driving of some students from Ursuline Academy and have invited them to park in our driveway. I heard that it is complicated because Holmes is shared on one side with Oakland and one side with Kirkwood. And I realize that Holmes is shared with the city of Oakland, but Kirkwood and Oakland collaborated some years ago to tear up and rebuild the whole street. So I'm asking that they collaborate to address this situation before some tragedy occurs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pete Shea.
Oh, Greg Shea first. Greg Heller, excuse me, Greg Shea. Talking about the same thing. It's the same topic. Is that all right? You're out of order. I've never done this before, but no, I'm here before the council just to kind of keep you in the loop about what the Shea Horseshoe Tournament is all about. That part of the park, Kirkwood Park, which is the southwest corner where the horseshoe clay pits are and the rifle ranges in that area. There used to be a shelter that Pete mentioned that was there for shade and stay out of the rain. Well, every year we've had two proclamations, one first by Mayor Swoboda, Mike, and then that it's Shea Day in Kirkwood for the horseshoe tournament. It's been going on now for 51 years. This past weekend was our 51st. It's always the first Saturday in August, and it's just a blast. It's been about 64 players for I don't know how many years, Pete would know, but it's become just the grandpas, our children, and our children's children, the grandkids, are playing now. And we'll have probably 100 spectators show up. And it's, you know, just a great, great afternoon. Well, this past Saturday, it was like the guys, the Shea family brings in their own clay every year. The city doesn't provide it. The parks doesn't supply it. So they bring in fresh clay every year. They groom the pits. Pete will probably get into that. I'll pass on that. But just as a needed shelter in that part of the park, yeah, they're all up on top and they're all beautiful. There used to be a shelter down there and it would provide, you know, the security that you need if some weather comes in on an event. And it'd give them another place for Kirkwood anyway to have another shelter or pavilion. Because they're always rented out, which is awesome. But that end of the park really needs something. We had to put up 14 tents, pop-up tents, 8x8s this past Saturday. And it's like, well, let's start thinking about talking, at least letting the council know what we're up to. And I know that I'm going to have to speak with Kyle Henke, I almost forgot his name. And eventually we'll be in front of the Parks Board. But I just thought I'd give you a heads up on that out of consideration. Thank you.
PJ?
I'm Pete Shea, one of the 5 Shea boys from Kirkwood, born and raised. Just follow up on Greg's thing. The shelter that used to be there was from the Sisters of the American Revolution. They had a framed house down there. And when we got to use, this thing whole started where we grew up on Way and Harrison. And in 1974, we had our first little tournament. And so we were always in the Kirkwood backyard. And then we got to the point where we had too many people, so we went to Kirkwood in 2000. And it's a great deal. And like Greg says, we bring it's blue clay, so it's just not regular dirt like you have in your backyard. And it needs to be somewhat moist when you play because the horseshoes stick. Well, there used to be a water pump down there, and this past year, I guess they had a main break. And so they capped the break and they took the water pump out. So now we have to bring our own water up just to keep the pits playable when we come up on Tuesday nights. And we do use, the area is used a lot. We're there April through the end of October playing shoes on Tuesdays. I know the Knights of Columbus come up during July and August to use it. And I've seen people up there in various other days up there using it. So the area is used, but there's no bathrooms down that side of the park. Like Greg says, we bring our own, well, we don't bring our own tents. Actually, the park department lets us borrow the tents, but we gotta bring them, set them up and everything. It'd be really nice to have just a pavilion down there so that we could host the games and have, again, a shelter and maybe some bathrooms would be great. Just for that end of the park. There's a lot of walkers down there. There's a lot of people using that area. I don't need to go on, but we have been taking care. We replace the boards, we paint them every year, we bring in new clay every year. The rugs and the plastic that cover the pits, we replace those every year. So we really maintain it just like our own. And we're happy to do that, okay? And heck, even we've got Chris Baker comes up every Tuesday and he cuts the grass around it and turns the pits over, just like somebody would do up at the softball fields when they turn the field over. He does that every time. So the place, I'm just going to say that the area is used a lot and we could use another shelter. Thanks.
Have some ideas for funding when we talk to the
Tom Moser?
Deputy Mayor, council members, everyone else. We've had a few episodes of motor vehicles and bicyclists, sickle incidents here in this Kirkwood area. And I was happy to read in last week's Webster Kirkwood Times that Kay Quint submitted a small little article. And the bicyclists don't want to share the road. They want us to share the road with them. If you see a bicycle group, they take the full lane, they're talking to one another, they're not out for exercise. All they're doing is hindering traffic. And I don't remember seeing these incidents arising before Vision Zero. And I'm not against Vision Zero in principle. I don't know how much federal guidelines we're given that we have to do, but the bicyclists need to be informed that they have to share the road too, or more of these incidents are going to happen. And unless we can get them educated or pull them off to the side and say, hey, you can't do this. You have to share the road too. We're going to have more incidents like we've seen in the recent past. And I'm glad that we are part of Vision Zero because I know economically it's paid off for us very well with the grants we get. But I think that some guidelines need to be set in place. But the bicycles aren't the only ones. I see kids in scooters going down Geyer Road in the middle of the road, not a care in the world, and they're young kids. That's just breeding disaster. Sooner or later, bad things are going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. So please find a way to make the streets safer, and it has to be from both sides, not just the motorist. Thank you.
Sharon Johnston. Tom Johnston.
City Council members, Deputy Director Mayor Zimmer, Tom Johnson from West Jewel. I wanted to just take a minute to thank all of you for your incredible support and leadership as we've navigated to a solution to increase the safety on West Jewel. Thanks especially to Al. He's been the one that's from the beginning that's shown genuine concern from the start of this journey, and honestly, you've helped me tremendously from the start. So I'm very, very grateful. I also want to thank Gina. So we had these two special meetings, special sessions with the group that Russ appointed, and I actually invited Gina. And she was gracious enough to give of her time. And honestly, I thought it was a wonderful thing. It provided some oversight and it provided some wisdom to the situation. It was extremely valuable. So thank you. I also want to thank the Kirkwood School District for their participation on the special committee. Scott, the CFO, Seth, the new principal at Kirkwood, and then Alyssa, the principal at Kaiser, were in attendance. And they're completely on board with these changes that we're asking for. And more importantly, they want to provide a clear and concise communication to the parents and the students of KHS and Kaiser before the school year starts, which I think is tremendous. Thanks to all my neighbors for all their support and encouragement. This has been a group effort though, and I believe that we are all better as a community as a result. These changes from the special committee that the special committee has come up with will significantly improve the safety on West Jewel. I know this will come with some adjustments and sacrifices by the residents of West Jewel, such as shuffling cars around and so forth. but the small adjustment in comparison to the positives that will come from protecting the children as they walk and ride their bikes and scooters to school, home every day. So thank you very much, and thank you for your consideration.
Jennifer Sigmund.
Good evening, council members and deputy mayor. I live at 548 West Jewel. I've lived there for 13 years with my family. We first moved there when my oldest was only 4 years old. We moved there because we were within walking distance to the schools. That is why we bought that house on that street. We moved in the middle of summer. It was wonderful. And then school started and it was a zoo. And immediately I thought, oh no, did I make a mistake? I immediately saw we had a major traffic issue and it has continued for all these 13 years that we've been there, which is why I would like to speak in support of the request to make the street no parking during school hours from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the entire south side of the street and to designate the entire street as no idling. Walking my kids to school, I have seen so many close calls on the daily. Let me just set the scene for you. So I'm sure many of you have seen it, but at 7:30-ish, about the high school kids start lining our entire street. And parents are dropping off at the cul-de-sac. And then closer to 8, they start dropping off at Kaiser, all on our street. It is wall-to-wall cars. The cars, I don't even know how they get in and out. They park a couple inches away from each other. So kids are walking to school, and I have seen kids dart out between cars so many times, and you cannot see anything when you are driving down that street. Kaiser has a crossing guard at the top of the street. So, I mean, there's a wall of kids going there. You would think that they would, everyone would want there to be less traffic as there is this designated spot where kids are constantly crossing. But it's kids coming from everywhere down our street, running in and out. It's very scary. Now I would like to explain the parking issue right by my house. We are right in the middle of the street from Geyer to the cul-de-sac. This is, I think, the spot where the most high schoolers park because it's a few houses up from where the no parking has been lifted. So my driveway has a tiny little strip of curb between my house and my neighbor's house to the west. And then there's my driveway, and then there's more curb, a much larger space for parking to the east. And people park within inches, if not hanging over into my driveway. I cannot see a thing when I pull out. I pull out blind every single day into what has essentially become a one-lane road now. It is not a big road. It is a very old road. It was not built with this situation in mind. So I pull out blindly. The most memorable time. I have had to slam on my brakes many times and then try to find a spot to scoot over. One time I pulled out. Has it been 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to me. And I have a lot more I could say. So I appreciate your time.
Deputy Mayor and Council, there are no additional requests for comment at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will now move to our consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Consent agenda has passed. We will now move to unfinished business, and this is a substitute bill 11084. Do I have a motion and a second to bring substitute bill 11084 to the floor for consideration?
So moved. Second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hawes.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor and Council. This is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-393, Schedule C, no parking zones, by adding no parking on West Jewel Avenue, north side of the 500 and 600 block, and the north and west side of the 700 block, up to and including 757 West Jewel Avenue, and amending Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-394, Schedule D, limited parking. Subsection O, no parking between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on any day that public schools are in session, to add West Jewel Avenue, south and east sides from 700 West Jewel Avenue to 754 West Jewel Avenue.
All right,
Russ, I think maybe you read Bill 11084 and not substitute Bill 11084.
Okay. I read what was up there, my bad.
blame it on Dave. All right. Okay, so let's go
I'll-
to questions.
I'll be glad to read the substitute bill now.
All right,
I thought that's what was up there, my mistake.
thank you, Mr. Russ.
Mayor and Council, the Deputy Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-393, Schedule C, no parking zones, by adding no parking on the north and west side of West Jewel Avenue of the 700 block west,
West Jewel, to the end of the street.
okay, to the end of the street. To the 700 block, to the end of the street, amending Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-394. Schedule D, limited parking, subsection O, no parking between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on any day that public schools are in session. To replace the existing location with West Jewel Avenue south and east sides from Geyer Road to 754 West Jewel Avenue, and adding a new section 14-407 within Chapter 14, Article 8, to prohibit stopping, standing, and parking for school drop-off and pickup on the 500, 600, and 700 blocks of West Jewel Avenue and the intersection of West Jewel Avenue and Geyer Road.
All right, thank you. Before we have questions and comments, I want to turn is that correct as spoken?
Yeah, I think there was a typo in the beginning of the substitute bill. It's on the north and by adding no parking on the north and west side of West Jewel Avenue, west to the end of the street, at 700, of the 700 block west to the end of the street. So let me just make a comment, which is that in the previous version, it said that we were adding no parking to 500, 600, and 700. There's already no parking on 500 and 600. So this is actually a change to clarify that we're not adding no parking to 500, 600. We're making no parking in 500, 600, and 700. Does that make sense? That's the reason for the change. It's not taking anything away. It's just clarifying the way it was written. For that section, it says, let me read the section 1. This is for the no parking. Jewel Avenue north side of the 500 and 600 block and the north and west side of the 700 block west from 700 West Jewel Avenue to the end of the street.
That's,
The next one is going to be the
yeah, let's,
zone, and that will be the next.
yeah, this is for council discussion right now.
Jackie, what does it mean in west from 700 West Jewel to the end of the street? What does the end of the street mean?
The end of that cul-de-sac.
So the end of the cul-de-sac, okay, and we do have the map, and again, we got incredibly red line copied, and so I think that's
Yeah.
what all of us are trying to make sure we get this right.
Yeah.
And, and we've had multiple questions even since we had the red line, so just trying to get, so.
Feel free to, I'll
Right,
clarify.
yeah, so right now, what I'm understanding, Jackie, from this is that the west and north side of the 5, 6, and 700 block and west from the 700 West Jewel to the end of the cul-de-sac, that's the no parking, and that's the current, there's no changes in that, correct?
That's correct, but there's part of it, we're switching from no parking during schools days to no parking.
anytime. So the original, and then we had the one that was agreed to that had that as no parking anytime. So that's all of the no parking anytime, which really goes from Geyer around the cul-de-sac to the 600 block.
Correct. So during the school day, there will be no parking at all. Right.
And then the no parking between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on any day the public schools are in session. You know, and again, it's this Jewel Avenue, west, south, and east sides from Guy Road to 754. So that's this red line on the south side. Because some of the language in this got confusing with east and west sides of Jewel and north and south and, you know, around the world you go on this little lovely street. So I think what's in the legislation, and Chris is here too, so we moved that to be the no parking on the south side in essence during the school time. And then overall for the whole street, no parking, standing, idling for purposes of dropping off children at Kirkwood High School or Kaiser during the school. And that was the overriding addition to this. And again, the work with the school district, which was to mimic Tom's comments, all of them, Scott, Seth, Alyssa, all reiterated that West Jewel is not in their plans for, you know, pick up and drop off. So they like the clarity of this and will communicate it once the city council passes it. And they were very supportive of it. And so I know Lisa Neiman's here from the school board, but Lisa, they were very professional and supportive of the neighbors during a great collaborative meeting that Chris did a nice job keeping everybody kind of on target. We had a very short window to look at this. I think everybody understood it's not perfect, but after years and years of some real concerns, it's a great step in the right direction. We really want it passed, and then if something, you know, else comes up, you know, but again, it's the communication. We got to get something done. The neighbors and the school district and the city have sat down. It's a good plan.
Okay, next, Councilmember Litzo, any comments, questions on this?
No, just to, I mean, I am fine with this, and I assume that the residents, they've all been consulted on this, so this looks like a plan for them reclaiming their street instead of having to deal with all of the cars and confusion and safety hazards and all of that. So I applaud it. And thanks to staff for coming up with the revised graphics to help me as I was trying to sift through the red line version and consulted Alan. I'm like, is this what it means? And he's like, well, blah, blah. So anyway, and thanks to Lori for sending it on to Chris. So thank you all.
All right, thank you. Councilmember McLean.
I just want to thank the residents for their persistence on this. I know you guys have tried for years. And as I always told my kids, persistence pays off. And in this case, it did. So thanks for being persistent. And I think as Nancy said, there's going to be some growing pains going forward. So I hope the residents, the city, the police can all work together to accommodate everybody and work those growing pains out. So thanks for all that work. And Al too.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Let's vote on it.
Councilmember, well, we gotta get Paul.
Call the question.
Member Schaefer.
I would like to say ditto to what I've heard tonight here, and it's about safety. That's where I'm after.
Right. Well, I'll make my comments and thank everyone for putting all of your efforts into this. This is truly a team effort. This is an issue that we're trying to resolve the best way we can. It's not perfect. This red line is not easy to read. I think we've got it correct, though. The language is right. So, I think we have an issue we're trying to address, and this is going to address it. In the future, we may have other issues. We'll address those, but let's start with this issue first. The school district will be able to communicate this out to the parents and students so they know, and we can permanently change the habits that are going on West Jewel. And I know I know that this is a very, very unique situation in Kirkwood. I live near an elementary school and a middle school, and we have our own issues there, but this is very unique. So I appreciate all of the efforts that have gone into this. It's truly a team effort, and it shows what Kirkwood can do when we all work together. So thank you all for your efforts. Any final questions or comments on substitute bill 11084? All right, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek.
Yes.
All right, substitute bill 11084 has passed. Bill 11085.
Deputy Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $58,423.40 from the Equitable Sharing Fund balance to the Police Department Machinery and Equipment account, accepting the single source quote of Axon in the amount of $58,423.40 for the purchase of a new Skydio X-10 drone for the Police Department, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill 11085 has passed. Final reading. We will now move to new business, Bill 11086.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance readopting a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interests for certain officials as set forth in Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-5 of the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to accept Bill 11086 for first reading approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Lizzo.
Just a comment that I believe that we vote on this every year.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that it's required by the state for us to
No,
do it,
the
but
Missouri
the
Ethics
city,
Commission requires every 2 years, but the
Yes.
city historically has chosen to adopt it yearly.
right,
Mhm.
right. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we are especially vigilant on making sure
Absolutely.
that any potential conflicts or actual conflicts are disclosed.
Great, thank you. Councilmember McLean,
No comments?
Councilmember Reinecker.
Am I?
Nope, he's asking
comments?
questions.
No, I'm gonna read it right now.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Good.
All right,
Whatever you
Councilmember
got,
Jack Sadek.
thanks.
Sadek, nope,
Uh-oh.
all right.
Oh, bye.
All in favor of first reading approval of Bill 11086, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill passes. Bill 11087.
Deputy Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance approving an intergovernmental cooperation agreement among the City of Kirkwood, Missouri, the Downtown Kirkwood Special Business District, and the Kirkwood Citywide Transportation Development District, and authorizing certain actions in connection therewith.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second for Bill 11087, first reading approval?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Councilmember Lizzo.
Well, I was wondering maybe if Russ could just give a brief summary of what's in this big document regarding the citywide transportation development district that
Mhm.
was passed last November.
So this particular document creates a procedural framework by which the three entities interact, right down to exactly how money transfers hands, what the appropriate mechanisms are that are in place to handle various circumstances that come up with approvals by any of the boards that are involved, the city council, the TDD board, and the SVD board. It outlines procedures to operate the TDD to the intent of the state statute and within the laws outlined within the state statutes of Missouri. And without it, we can't expend any of the funds that come in. So I think that's probably the If you want further legal description, I'm sure your
Executive
attorney could.
summary, yeah.
That was the executive summary.
I don't know if Jackie has anything to add.
That's right. It just provides, like you said, the procedural framework so that when the money comes in, we know how the boards, the city council, SBD, and the board of the TDD interact with one another and work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McLean?
It,
Oh,
Russ, I'm looking at section 1.1 on page 2,
Okay.
administrative costs specifically. It talks about reimbursement of board of directors for actual expenditures.
Yes.
What kind of expenditures would they have?
Oh, the board has an attorney that they hire. They have various bank expenditures that we've experienced so far, just getting the account set up and so forth. These are all reimbursable through the TDD, and if Jackie'd like to add to any of that, I think.
Well, I guess my concern is this reimbursement of the board of directors. So it sounds to me like if I go out and spend my own money on something, I can I can submit a request for reimbursement. Obviously, if it's for attorneys or something like that, that's not a board of directors direct expenditure. That comes from the TDD.
So a direct expenditure of the board of directors, I would assume, and I don't expect that this would be, I assume it's in the statutes that you have to be able to reimburse board's actual expenses. Therefore, it's consistent with the statutes of the state of Missouri. But I don't expect that our board would have any real expenses. It would be hard to imagine what those would be.
That's why I was thinking, I was wondering why it's in here.
Well,
I asked the question, Mark, because I knew you were going to ask about this. And I talked to the attorney for the TDD, and she said, this is all just Missouri statute.
Yeah.
It's all,
Well, do we have to, like, and the next question I has, we're going to get, we as a city get reimbursed for our expenditures to put this on the ballot?
I don't believe that there's any intent to do that.
It says reimbursement of the city for the cost of filing and defending the citywide TDD petition and all publication and incidental costs incurred in obtaining the court certification. You know, is that a reimbursement that we as a city should be expecting from TDD funds that are supposed to go for all the roads?
If it is allowed, the city may request those, I assume.
I have an issue with that, but,
As I said, I don't think there was really ever any intent to use TDD funds for expenses that had been expended prior to the TDD being formed. While the state does allow.
For that, does the TDD board have to come in front of the council for that?
The city would.
The city would have to ask for it.
Asking the TDD board.
Section 3.2, Russ, paragraph A, there's a typo that we just need to be at least 30 days. You missed it.
We already discussed that.
Okay,
Got it.
good job, Nancy.
I chose not to make that a public.
Missing the word days, got it.
And then in paragraph B, that same section, we use reasonable efforts to cause at least 5% of the aggregate citywide tax to be used for SPD. I thought the agreement was 5%, not at least 5% or best efforts, but just 5%.
I believe these are the statute language. I think it's derived from the statute.
Which is that
Yeah.
it's this language was used because to say exactly 5% when you're trying to figure out what the projects are, if the SPD has a project, if the city has a project, figuring out what exactly 5% is could be difficult. So it's just adding language that allows it to be more realistic.
There's at least 5%. So what if it's 4.5% one year and 6.5% the next year? I get the variations. But
Yeah,
then-
absolutely.
Then
And
you come back and say, hey, we get another 0.5% because you only give us 4.5%.
so the way it's structured is so that it's not a year to year. It's not like this year, every single year they get 5%. It's throughout the
Life of.
the life of the
The term.
TDD.
Okay,
So that if,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
because
okay.
if they have a project that's gonna cost more than whatever the 5% of the year is, then it's the board that's going to be the one that makes the decision on, well, this year now it's an SBD project and we'll allocate that much. So it's just trying to recognize the reality of the situation.
And then the bigger one, I think, which I think a lot of residents have questions with, is how the funds are going to be handled. And I know if you go to section four, Article 4 on page 7, if, I know the funds all get collected at the Missouri state level.
Mhm.
And then Russ or Jackie, if you can then walk us through and the residents through how those funds get handed down to us to make sure that it's used only for the proper roads, sidewalks, et
So
cetera.
they're not handed to the city. That's one fact. They're handed to the TDD fund, which is, the city acts as a fiduciary for those funds. It's held in a bank account that the city will be writing checks from and things along those lines, but only after TDD board approval. So the TDD board allocates the funds from that particular bank account. That's the really simplified description.
Who ensures that only road projects, sidewalk projects, that,
Real easy. That's the city council, the TDD board, and the SBD. You're in a cooperative agreement that adheres to state statute, and the state statute identifies what those funds can be expended for.
that's, so it's a group effort between the TDD.
Absolutely.
and- that's okay. All right. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure the residents know.
All projects will come to city council, even the TDD, even the SBD's projects will come to city council before going, because we're going to have to execute those projects within our capabilities. So they're going to come to this board before going to the TDD board.
Thank you. That's all I had.
All right,
Deputy
thanks,
Mayor.
sir. Councilmember Reinecker.
No, I was just going to explain something, but Russ did already.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer. All right, Councilmember Jack Sedek. I have a question, and this is something that a couple of residents have asked me, since the board is comprised of 4 people, what if it's a 2-2 tie?
Doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass. And that's it.
It takes 3 to get it
Takes
done.
3 for anything to pass.
Mhm.
So if it's a 2-2, it's done.
Correct.
Okay, very
Along
good.
those lines, who are the 4? How's that comprised, just so everyone that's listening?
Well, it's 2 appointed by the SBD and 2 appointed by city council. Al Reinecker and the mayor are the city council designees, and Drew Wusinski and Carrie Paskey are the 2 from the SBD. And Carrie is out here right now. Did I pronounce that name correctly? All right.
Anything else? All in favor of first reading, approval of Bill 11087, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill passed first reading approval. Resolution 72-2025.
Deputy Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the proposal of DH Pace Overhead Door Company at the rates provided in the memo, a copy of which attached here too and incorporated by reference herein, for overhead door maintenance, repair, and installation for an initial term of 12 months, with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, contingent upon budgetary approval and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 72-2025 as read?
So
Motion.
moved.
All right, questions or comments? Councilmember Lizzo.
Done. Thank you.
Councilmember McLean.
Done.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Nope.
Councilmember Schaefer.
I would tell you, I went in and had a sit down with Russ and explained to me that why we didn't have 3 bids on here, because I'm the 3 bid guy. And he explained to me that there was lack of response. So that, just want people to understand, we're trying to keep getting 3
Mhm.
bids all the time.
Yep.
So.
True.
Thank you. Councilmember Jack Sadek.
No.
All right. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sedek.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes. Resolution 73-2025.
Deputy Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the single source proposal of Doppler Incorporated for the provision of incident response management services for the Water Department in the amount of $49,750 for an initial term of 12 months with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, contingent upon budgetary approval, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Thank you. Was there a motion and a second to accept Resolution 73-2025?
Motion.
All right. Questions or comments? Councilmember Litzo.
Pretty sure I understand what this is all about, but I wonder if Chris's request, if maybe Chris would want to come up and just give a brief summary of what this is about.
Chris?
Kind of an exciting new.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and City Council. Yes, so the electric department has used this service for 5 years now, so they've used it since 2020, and they've had success in using that. And so the water department wants to follow suit with the electric department. Right now, we use police dispatch for after hours, answering for a water outage. We would use this service to answer phone calls for after hours work. So if anyone sees a water main break, they would call the water number. That's the same water number today, which is 314-984-5936. So instead of calling dispatch, you would call that number. That number is our current number. It would be, once this is implemented, it would be routed to this answering service that's available 24/7, 365. So it allows us to be more efficient with our communications and not frees up our dispatch staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Councilmember McLean.
No comments.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Yeah, Chris, I just have one suggestion that once in a while, call the number at 10 in the evening and see what kind of service you get. Because I know we've had problems with the electric department. Mark and I have talked about this a lot. People call the number and they get somebody that doesn't speak English. They don't know where Kirkwood is. They don't know where anything is. And it's a frustrating thing when you don't have power. You're trying to get somebody to answer. Mark thinks he's got that worked out, and I'm going to make sure we don't have the same problem with the water. So you have to test these things yourself. All right? Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer.
Just another question for Chris. Are we going to, like the electric department puts out what areas are being affected, are we going to put that out on a map of the city of Kirkwood? Like, you know, Geyer's affected or whatever area is being affected, so somebody could punch up on the screen like we do now with the electric and see that we're out of this area? Is that going to be this capability with this as well?
This will not take care of that, no. So we're working to try to get that up and running.
With this?
This is purely just an
Just
answering
an answering
service.
service, got it, okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
But we will work on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Councilmember Jack Sadek.
Chris, real quick, do we have an idea? Don't sit down.
Just stand there.
Just stand. So right now those calls are going to dispatch. How many calls do you think now will be diverted from dispatch? Do you have any idea on an annual basis? I know electric looked like it.
I don't have that number. I know we receive a lower number than electric does. But number of breaks we have is around 125 a year. So, you know, I don't have that number off the hand.
Any final comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Litzo,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 74-2025.
Yes, Deputy Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the single source proposal of Fiber LLC for the provision of Kirkwood parking sensors and installation in the amount of $102,590 for an initial term of 12 months with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, contingent upon budgetary approval, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to accept Resolution 74-2025?
Motion.
Second.
All right. Questions or comments? Councilmember Litzo.
Well, again, maybe just to make sure that I understand this whole thing, but for public consumption, could, Russ, can you explain, or is this another Chris thing, or?
No, maybe I can explain. The city, about 5 years ago, entered into an agreement with Fiber as a demonstration project for some of our spaces downtown to have sensors that identify when a vehicle is parked over them. They use a magnetic technology, so they don't actually send anything out, and there's no weird transmission things. They pick up basically a heavy vehicle. The purpose of these is twofold. It allows us to track parking downtown and know exactly how the spaces are being utilized, the time people are spending in particular areas or particular spaces. And also, it allows, on the front end, an app for citizens to access parking information that would identify spaces that are empty at any given point. So they can help locate spaces near where they're going. The demonstration project has been ongoing. It started during COVID, so it was, I'd say, lightly utilized. But we see an opportunity, especially in light of discussions that we've had here recently concerning downtown parking and identifying quality data as far as where people are parking and making the most of what our resources are to encourage spaces to be available, that this fits a niche here with the city that we feel is worthwhile taking the demonstration to another level and expanding it. Part and parcel to that expansion is basically a marketing campaign to get the word out. We're talking about QR codes on signs and things, so when people park, they can pull down the app and know that when they come back into town, they'll be able to find a space easily. Also working, Fiber themselves, the company, has said they'll work closely with us on developing a marketing campaign to ensure that the downtown businesses are involved in getting this information out. The city, the chamber, the SBD, all will work to get the information out. What's being proposed is 215 spaces throughout downtown. The exact locations of those spaces are not identified in the agreement, and I would suggest that as we identify where we want to place those those sensors in those spaces, we work with council to approve the ultimate location of the sensors.
And the amount that we're approving, 102,590, covers the cost of installing all of those additional sensors plus.
Well, and removing the old sensors, which are basically
And then the annual cost
24,420.
after that will be 24,000 or whatever.
Right, 24,420 if I remember correctly. So, yes.
This sounds like it's, a real attempt to try and deal with some of the parking issues that we have downtown. We offer mostly free parking that I'm aware of with, time-limited spaces, but this will help, especially as the train station parking lot is closed while the station is undergoing the major rehab project. So I think this will, especially, for end-of-year holiday shopping and all of that, it's going to help address some of the issues as well as data collection on how our parking system is working out and what adjustments we might need to do. So thank you.
We see it beneficial on both ends. That's correct.
Thank you.
Good. All right, thank you. Councilmember McLean.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I think 102,000 is a lot of money for an application that's not being utilized right now by very many residents. don't know if it's residents or non-residents that are using this. So I have concerns there. And then you just made a comment that we're replacing old ones that are only, what, 4 years old?
About 5. Mhm.
5 years old. So every 5 years, you need to replace. Additional cost of, looks like about $78,000. That'll be going up.
I can't say that that's absolutely accurate. My understanding is that these particular ones have been outmoded. I don't know that the new ones will be outmoded in the same time frame. They could be.
With the way
Mhm.
AI is advancing nowadays and everything, it's quicker.
Could be.
But I do like the aspect of being able to monitor where the parking violations are occurring.
Mhm.
I think before I would approve this, I think we need more conversation with the council and even with the police department. Because if, I'd like them to be part of the program here, if we can, if they can monitor the parking on their computers or iPads and get people that are parking for more than 2 hours during the daytime. That way, make it easier for them. That's a huge benefit to me, I think.
Mhm.
I still don't know how many residents will use it. Realistically, they just get in their car, drive downtown and find the first spot they can. Those are my comments. I know
Mhm.
has a few of her own, so I'll defer the rest of my comments to her.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Well, do we have any data on how many people are using it now, Russ? Or how
There were
many times?
1,789 downloads of the app.
Yeah,
Mhm.
5 years? Yeah.
Yeah, basically at the front end, I'd say. I don't think there's been a lot lately. Mhm.
Schaefer.
Yes, hi, thank you. So I've got an issue with the dollar amount as well, but I've asked Russ, and you may be able to clarify that. I had gone in a couple of days ago and asked almost the same question that Mark just brought up, was about, could we use, if this is real time and we know that somebody's been parked there for 4 hours, is this a tool that we can use to help our parking attendant, Pat, out there to already identify what somebody is way over? I got to meet Pat today, and he does it by hand yet, paper, hand. So if this expedites things to move this forward to get people that are, and I'm not in favor of exactly 2 hours and 1 minute and we go and ticket somebody. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking at the egregious ones that are 3.5, 4.5 hours that park there because they were late getting to work by 7 minutes and they parked there because that's the fastest, easiest way to get there, which he expressed that does happen because he had quite a few. He was writing tickets today. So if we can incorporate that with that real time, I would be in favor with that. But as of tonight, I will vote no against this just for that reason until we get more clarification. So that's me.
Okay. Patty.
Would you like to hear from Mark Petty at all?
Sure.
We need to waive Robert's.
Yeah.
And Mark Petty, Director.
Can we all do it?
Yeah.
Waive Robert's.
Yeah, we need to waive Robert's
You
rules.
need to do that first?
Can we go
Yeah.
through our comments first?
That's fine if you want to do that. Let's address. it.
Okay.
Let me, because I have another question for, along those lines of, has the police department been involved in this conversation with this program?
Yeah, we've talked with the police about the capabilities, yes.
They can build into their processes of ticketing, they've
As-
got resources and that can work through the legal system accordingly?
Yeah, it's done around the country that way, yes.
Okay, but for in Missouri and all that, we feel like it
Mhm.
could be, okay, then, and, I know Mark will be able to, address this, but my other question's really, it's coming out of the distribution, the fund it's coming out of is interesting. It's the Distribution System Improvement Fund from the Electric Department. Is that where you originally budgeted? Because it,
It's always been in the electric department.
so are,
The reason?
yes.
Yeah,
Is this electric and are they responsible for the operation and implementation of it?
yes.
Okay, so this falls under Mark's accountability. Okay, and why do we put it under electric?
Because electric has been at the forefront of our smart city initiatives, and this is part of the smart city initiatives. And then it's talking, the fiber downtown, things along those lines, Wi-Fi to the train station, that's all electric smart city initiative.
So his team will lead the efforts for marketing, implementation, follow-up, and work with the police department in effective use of it?
He would be involved certainly, but I don't know that they're going to lead those efforts. I think it's going to be a more citywide effort where the police department is involved. As I said, the chamber, the SBD, the city administration, all of us would be involved in getting the word out on this.
Right, and again, because it's had a slow 5 years, I mean, if we're gonna invest, and again, I'd like more conversation, but if we're gonna invest this kind of money, I wanna make sure that we have a collaborative, but somebody who's gonna be responsible for ensuring success going forward and not just expect different departments to occasionally jump in. So again, I'd like to know the model by which we think this is going to be implemented and maintained. And again, from his budget of distribution system, this leaves 350,000 in that account for the year. So I'm assuming, I don't know what else is, I don't need to know tonight, but what else is coming out of that account? Because the distribution system improvement probably encompasses quite a bit of projects. And I just I want to make sure that we're not shortchanging what's needed for our electric distribution department or services needs.
No, I get it.
Anything else, Councilmember Jackson?
That's it for right now.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Petty, if you want to come up and address this, just Mr. Petty for now.
Yeah, so
Otherwise, we need
again,
to-
I'm Mark Petty, I'm the Director of Electric Department. The origins really, again, were, a part of it was during the COVID era when we started to have some issues. The mayor had actually had a task force between ourselves and the chamber and the SBD, and Russ was involved, and Wallace Ward was a council member liaison. We had started to have some parking issues, and this was an application that we could start to put in the ground, those hockey pucks that we talk about that we were able to get in the ground. And 5 years ago, and get those things going and start to have an application that people could start to use, especially in the wake of people using curb service when there wasn't occupancy associated with some of the downtown restaurants and other venues. The technology that we're talking about now is going to last longer, and we're not going to have the same kind of replacement costs. Those upfront capital replacement costs of the $78,000 to do the replacement of the first 69 and then get us to the 215. We're not going to incur those costs again. And I think that what's going to happen, as Russell alluded to, is we'll have a committee, and that includes the police department, as it has already had happened with the person that does parking enforcement in Station Plaza. And they'll be able to say, now we're going to pick and choose where we're going to go in addition to doing what we're doing now on Jefferson from Clay to Taylor and on Argonne from Clay to Taylor. It could be some more things on Taylor's, definitely pick up the Station Plaza parking lot. And of course, we are going to pick up the parking lot that's associated with this train station. I don't know, Patrick, you want to talk a little bit about?
Hang on. Before we let anybody else speak besides Mr. Petty, we need a motion and a second to waive Robert's
sorry.
rules of order.
I move to waive Robert's rules.
Second. Okay. Questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, all right.
Thank you. Yeah, I have Patrick here to talk a little bit about what he's doing, not only in these other jurisdictions, but what we can do here in Kirkwood. You can hear a little more about it.
Just a little correction, Patrick is sitting there. I'm Brett. Yeah.
Well, Brett, thank you.
Hi. Well, thanks for having us. So I'm the Chief Technical Officer with Fiber. I was involved with the original proof of concept and the pilot and sort of the ongoing with that. Just to answer directly one of the questions is that the way the system works is that you pay for the system to go in and then you don't have to pay again. So even if we have to replace anything, batteries die, anything like that, that is part of the ongoing fee. So there will never be another capital expenditure for the system as it goes in initially. And then to address the questions about expandability functions and things like that, what's interesting is that once you get the system in, the rudimentary function of are there cars in these spaces is handled with the hardware. Everything else is application-wise is handled from the back end, and we can adjust and add features, and there's no additional costs or anything associated with that. So right out of the box, what you get is the analytics of exactly what's going on in those spaces that are being monitored. And that's an analytic tool that you guys can ingest, modify. We can do distributions of that according to whatever details and criteria you're interested in. You can slice it up and say, hey, during like farmer's market or any of the special events, you have the concerts in the special business district, anything like that. You can see how the utilization of the parking inventory changes during those times. So you can maybe decide if you want to make adjustments to policy, time, things like that. And then as far as the enforcement thing goes, yes, everything that is happening is always monitored. And there is actually a separate app that's an enforcement app that shows violations. And those violations are triggered by whatever criteria you guys decide. And you can put padding in there. You could say, I want 2 hours of free parking. I want to give them an extra half hour before it even alerts that it's a violation. We can adjust any of that stuff. You guys can adjust any of that stuff. So what you then get is the ability to kind of decide as you move through this, is the system working the way you want it to? If not, we make adjustments to it. And then if you do at some point decide you want to maybe start moving towards, because I know that the lot that's over in the special business district has a pay station, I believe, right? And there's like a pay to extend there. So that functionality can be incorporated in this as well. So you don't have to actually be at the pay station to extend. You can extend while you're, say, stuck somewhere on the train and you say, hey, I need an extra hour or something like that, and you want to pay for that. So, any sorts of features like that, and there's no additional fees for that. It's really just getting the equipment in and making the ongoing payments. Mhm.
Right, Councilmember Schaefer?
I got two questions, so thanks
Sure.
for coming up.
Mhm.
So who sees this data? Does the city retain the information, or who retains that information that you're going to be transmitting back
The-
to whoever?
Yeah, all the data is hosted in the cloud on Amazon Web Service. And they have a program called QuickSight, which is a way to visualize that. And so what we've done is we've gone in and created all these different visualizations. They could be heat maps, pie charts, bar graphs, just straight up data. And then you can change the area and also the time frame that you're looking at and see all of that data. So anybody that wants it, we can give access to that data.
So that's my concern, is who sees this data and who's retaining it? So
It is-
does this go to the city and the city retains this? Or I heard you say the cloud and I got all that.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that the data that's being collected and we're paying for it,
Mhm.
that we retain it and not it goes out there in the cloud and the left.
Well, it's in the cloud, it's secure.
Sure.
So it is your data. You guys are the owners of that data, and you can decide who has access and who does not.
Okay.
Now, we have access to it because we need to be able to monitor it,
Sure,
but
and I get that.
that's the only use of it.
Yes, so to give you an example of how that worked previously, the task force that we had created.
Mark, talking to Mike.
Thanks. So yeah, like the task force that we had created, Peg and Tim, and then you had Donna and SB, Russ. We had monthly meetings. We would review the data.
Okay.
And it's going to be a big plus to be able to turn it over to the parking enforcement folks as part of the committee, and they can see it real time and go over the analytics whenever they want to, or monthly, and decide some other things. But that group, that committee really is going to be the keeper of the data and the team that makes decisions based on the data, in addition to an operational person that can see it on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, one more question, don't run away. So who else locally is doing this data collection, and do you have a city or?
Yes, we have just under 2,000 in St. Charles right now.
St. Charles City, St. Charles County.
Well, it was brought in by the county, but it's operated and maintained by the city. Although the maintenance is nothing, we maintain everything. So they're in charge of it,
Got
but
it.
the city actually did, the county negotiated the contract.
Got it. Anybody else other than St. Charles County?
Not in
Locally?
Missouri, not locally, no.
Not locally. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we have stuff all over the country, yes. Mhm.
Sure.
Now, does this take a picture of the car or the license plate? How would they know who's there for 2 hours from the police perspective?
So there's an application, it's a map-based application, and it shows graphically what is going on. And each space is defined in that application. Same thing for the consumer-facing one, where it shows where available spaces are. In this case, it shows what violations are there, and it's color-coded according to what the violation is. So it's simply done on time. So
Doesn't identify, I mean, it's just that a vehicle's there.
that's correct, yeah. So
Doesn't
there's
say
no,
which vehicle.
yeah, there's no tracking, there's no personal identifiable information that's used in this. It's just a car has been in this space for however long it's been. And also too, if the officer, say you decide that there's 30 minutes of padding you want to give on that, when the officer does see that that's a violation, it will show how long that car has actually been there. So he can decide that he wants to give a little extra time if he wants to. And he can also ignore that violation in there and just wave it off.
They have to be ready to go. The police would have to be ready to go to start issuing tickets at that whatever window.
Well, if the car leaves, then there's no ticket because they're gone. But yeah, so it doesn't generate remote ticketing. It is real time. And what we've seen in this is that the amount of tickets that cities typically issue, according to the violations, the percentage of capture is usually relatively low. And so even in this, you can actually find out how many you are actually getting because you know how many violations were generated, you know how many violations you ticketed. So now you actually get real information on what your real percentage is. And what we found is most cities think it's higher than it is. But now you can actually decide if you want to start getting a little bit more. Say there's areas that are problematic with people overstaying, maybe you want to start focusing more on that area. So it just gives you the information so you can decide how you want to address problems and also identify where they are and how severe they are.
Okay, so we put these in 5 years ago,
Mhm.
69 of them are. Do you have data on how many those are used, or are they still functioning?
Well, no, so that was, again, that was supposed to be that was a pilot system.
Pilot, I know.
Yeah, and so there was 200 and something that were installed. And so what we've done recently with the train station lot closing is we took the ones that were still functioning and consolidated them on Argonne in front of the train station.
There are some that are functioning.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it sounds like really cool technology.
Yeah, thank you.
It really does. I mean, I looked at before I looked at your website and everything, but my concern is whether it'll be used.
Yeah, well, that's,
That's what
Yeah.
I wish we were doing it for half this money in half the spaces for a year.
well,
Key spaces, important spaces.
I mean,
well, I can address that
Yeah.
too. So I was also involved in a lot of the original promotion. So you guys provided me with flyers and we actually did set up, there's QR codes for downloading it. And we did set up a tent at one of the band performances. And so we got a lot of initial interest in it, but then it seemed like the push kind of fell off. And so that's kind of what we decided we wanted to do is help prolong that and help ourselves would come out and try to help promote this. Other cities have posted signs that say like something like, how was your parking today? Find better spaces with this thing. So, because it's no secret that parking around here is a challenge. So one of the things is when you say, well, let's do less spaces, the problem really comes down to what are you trying to solve? And right now, it's not necessarily availability. It's part of the problem, but it's knowing where those spaces are. And so if you go into just the key spaces and you say, we're going to monitor just these spaces, then all you're telling people is that the places that where everybody wants to park are full. And so really the way to do it is to say, here's where you want to park, but here's all the other options that surround that. So you can't just say, there's nowhere to park. You have to say, there's nowhere to park right where you want to go, but here's some of your other options. And now what you start doing is you start getting people that are going to start, instead of trying to go and like drive up and down Argonne and fight that traffic, they're going to say, hey, there's a lot over here up Clay. Maybe I'll go hit that one. And then so what you'll see is all those people that are circling around and trying to fight for that spot are going to start dispersing, and you're going to see the traffic start to go away. We did roughly 10,000 spaces in San Francisco, and it was part of a big study out there, the SF Park study. Welcome to read up on that. And they actually did a thing with like demand pricing. So they started charging for areas that were high demand and started lowering prices for ones that were in low demand. And they actually saw a 30% decrease in just the traffic, and they actually saw a decrease in the emissions. And so the environmental impact actually was affected just by getting people to stop circling around and trying to fight for those premier spaces.
I want to make a couple of comments and observations here. I think, the flyer that you had in your hand, it's a great idea, but those flyers go away.
Sure.
What I think would help the problem is because, this participation it's pretty low. I think, you've got residents that may not even be aware of it.
Mhm.
You've got people coming into Kirkwood that don't live in Kirkwood. They don't have that flyer in their hands. They don't have the city's website up on their phone. They're not going to stop at Adams and Kirkwood and pull the website up. What I think might help is to have the QR codes posted throughout areas of the city to increase participation.
Yes, absolutely.
Because this is not cheap. This is not cheap.
Can I add one more thing? So, the question always comes up, well, not everybody's going to use the app, right? And so I kind of made the comment that the people that are using the app are going to get out of the way of the people that aren't. And you're going to see it that way. But we also, so the system it's a parking system, but it's also a smart city platform. So there's additional things and devices that can go into the system that hangs on the same network. And one of those that's specific for this application is digital signage. So at some point, if you decide you want to add signage, instead of the lot saying parking, it says how many spaces are in that lot, how many spaces are down the street, and let people see visually that where the spots are and the counts that are available. So that's an expanding option.
At an additional cost.
Well, nothing's free, right? We have to pay for the sign too, so yeah.
Hey, it's called negotiation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, so we actually work with just about anybody. So we have a really flexible platform that works on back end integrations with other systems, payment systems, and things like that. We do have a specific sign company that we've worked with quite a bit. And so we don't make any money on that. We just pass that sign through. We put our equipment inside it to network it. And that's what we do, but we don't like mark up the sign or anything like that. So, but we will handle getting that, defined, if there's any customization or anything like that. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor? Yes, sir. I think, Mark, do you have a sensor in your hand? Can you show it to us and explain?
Got a very dirty one that came out of the street.
Maybe explain how that actually works.
Well, I don't know, I think that's, I guess the thing is, have it in the ground, right? It's level, and when a vehicle drives over it, then the communication between this and the gateway really is determined that a vehicle is present. And then once the vehicle's gone, then the communication between the gateway and this device changes so that you now have a determination whether the spot is vacant or not. I don't know if that.
It's not by weight, it's just,
No.
it just senses.
Nope,
there's-
not just something that's.
So a motorcycle could
Over
be
the
there
vehicle, that's
doing-
correct.
It wouldn't address a motorcycle, for
Right.
example. Right.
But I don't know how you do motorcycles, but.
Yeah.
Golf cart, yeah.
It does do
So,
golf
Mark,
carts, I
that's-
think.
That's buried in the pavement?
Yeah. So,
Can't even see it.
I can elaborate on it a little bit. This is actually one that came out of service, but yeah, so they sit flush with the street.
Okay.
And they're essentially, you don't really see them, but what it is, I'll do like a kind of a high level technology thing. I'm the CTO, so I could bore you guys for hours on this, but, so like on the surface, it's very rudimentary. Do I see a car? Do I not see a car? But what it is it's kind of like like an electronic compass. So it points at where the magnetic flux lines that shoot around the earth, it follows those. Large chunks of metal push deviations and distortions, and then it picks up those vector changes. And the new one actually has a radar integrated in it as well. So what'll happen is when it sees something interesting magnetically or like metal mass move near it, it can actually fire off the radar, and then it takes a ping and looks and sees if there's anything physically there. You can do it really just with the radar, but the radar takes power more, and so we want the batteries to last longer, and also then picks up objects that are maybe not metal content. So somebody standing over it, a stroller or something like that. But the new system actually, because this was an older system, it's a more of a collaborative thing. So each sensor says, I see something interesting that has changed, and here's my radar information to support that. And so you may see multiple spaces report in that something changed, even though something in that space didn't change. And we can use that data then to determine if something metal has moved most likely in this space. And so that's how we would be able to pick up low signature vehicles like a motorcycle or something like that. We would say something moved, maybe it hit the radar, maybe it did not, but it did not happen in the spaces near it. So something has changed here. And so what we can do then is put different criteria on occupancy versus enforcement. So if we see something that we feel pretty confident that there's a vehicle of some type in that space, we'll mark it as occupied for navigation and for wayfinding. But we may not decide that we have enough confidence to mark it as an enforcement opportunity. So we'd rather err on the side of not giving a ticket, because nobody complains about that. But as soon as you write a ticket that somebody didn't feel they earned, you're going to hear about it. And so we want to minimize and eliminate all of that.
Did I read the battery life in those things like 7 years, 7+ years?
It's this one here, we say 5 to 10. The new one is, we're actually just hitting production on it. It's testing out to be about half the power of this one. So I would unofficially say we're going to get at least 10 years out of it. But again, that's on us. So it's in our best interest to do that, because if the batteries die and we still have an active contract with you, then we replace the equipment.
I'm like with Al, I think this is magnificent technology. It's cool stuff.
Thank you.
What's the name of the app? I can't find the app.
It's Park Kirkwood. Yep. So most cities, so we actually, the parent app is called Parking Genius, or I think we're changing it to Fiber Park now because we want to put the word fiber and everything. And roughly 100% of everybody wants a white label theirs. And so they usually come up with an interesting name of park city name or city name parking. You guys went with Park Kirkwood.
Well, we didn't want to call it Kirkwood Park because we already have that.
Yeah.
We already have.
We have a park.
You don't want to confuse everybody, right?
So just a comment, I'm not sure there's a question there, but from what I understand from some of what you've just said, is that if we're looking at enforcement for parking limits, your tendency is going to be in those high demand areas because you want turnover and not somebody parking, all day when it's a 2-hour limit. Or if you want it really to redirect people outside it's not so much an enforcement, but a redirect out of the high demand just so that you show open parking. So again, I think it's incumbent on, do we see it as a parking redirect or do we see it as an enforcement for time limit?
But you don't have to decide. It could be both, and it could be weighted whichever way you want.
It could be depending on how many you buy or how many you invest in.
Well, yeah, exactly. If you don't have the visibility of the,
There's kind of a decision queue that we would have to put this in.
Yes.
Because we have both problems. We have the high demand challenge where everybody wants to park. And then we have the other opened areas that nobody wants to park.
Yep.
So, again, it's kind of a ongoing and then we have a limited budget because, more than 100,000 isn't going to really come into play here.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said,
St. Charles has got 2,000.
Yeah, like somewhere around 1,900.
1,900, 2,000 rounded up.
Yep.
Okay.
Two questions. First one's probably directed to Mark. How did we come up with 215 spots? And the second question is, if we want to add more, what's the incremental cost for each additional?
Well, yeah, the 215 is the count between Clay and Taylor on Argonne and Jefferson. I believe that also includes the train station.
That include the train station and a few spaces on Taylor and Clay.
Yep, a few, yep, and it's back to like almost like sort of the original count that we had.
Yeah, so if you go on the app now, it shows where all the original spaces were, but the ones that have been removed are grayed out. And then the train lot is actually, I think, flagged red, so we didn't want people to think that they could park there.
Second part of the question is, what's the incremental cost?
Yeah, that incremental cost, that unit cost to add an additional device was like the, 78,000 divided by the, 69, right? I'm sorry, 215.
It's,
Yeah, you got
Yeah, I
that
would
unit
say-
price on it? 'Cause I just
Come up,
didn't,
please. Thank you.
because I'm like, in 12 hours.
he's our financial guy. I'll
Yeah.
let that guy.
I'm Pat Stevens for everyone. Nice to meet you all. So the 215 is everything from Clay to Taylor on Argonne and Jefferson. Plus, I think there's 11 spots that are on Clay and 7 spots that are on Taylor to get to that number. It doesn't include the train station spots because we know we're not installing that.
Who the Jefferson parking lots?
It does not, no. But it doesn't include the train station spots just because we know we're not installing soon there. The costs for the first 215 are $250 for the product and installation, and then $9 a month for the data fees. And then for every sensor that you do over 215, it's $225 for the sensor, product and installation, and $7 a month for the data fees. We really think that getting the availability in those other lots, like the Jefferson lots, and just other lots in the area really is going to help distribute the parking. So we wanted to discount that to kind of encourage that. I think when you just do the spots that are on Argonne, if people have availability for that, I think when we look at it, it's around 90 to 95% in the peak periods. So it's not really helping do what it needs to do. You need to spread it out to other areas. And I think the navigation piece that's in our app helps people see that and navigate to those areas. And that's what we want to encourage with the pricing. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Is this just for public spaces and not for like over, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll let you talk.
one clarifying point.
Yeah.
The 102,000 figure is not correct for the year one. It's 78,000 for the installation and the data fees. And I can send that right up.
My computation on that was that if we do the train station in the spring
Okay.
for our fiscal year,
Sure.
that is prior to March the 31st.
Yeah.
That's why I did that.
Okay. For the 215, it would be about the 78,000 figure that's hopefully floating in your agendas, but I forget what was your.
So but we have a contract with some private lots here as
Okay.
well at the city. And so if you're trying to give out the data that there's open spots, are you going to put any in those as well? No.
And I think this is interesting, that committee, and there should be probably a council liaison with that committee. They can decide, right? I mean, that's kind of what we did previously, where we had Donna and we had Peg and Tim and, Wallace. That committee picked Argonne and
Numbers
Jefferson
where we're
and
going. Yeah.
you could, whatever you want to do. It's going to be up to that committee.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, a question for Mr. Petty, that 102,590, that should be 78, is that correct?
No.
No?
Because if we do the train station in the spring before March the 31st, we're going to have to spend that money to get those installs in and get them heated up. So I didn't just say, hey, we're going to do Argonne and Jefferson and the Taylor thing. I'm anticipating there's a possibility we might have to do train station before March 31st.
Does the council feel like we need to study this further? All right, so I'm going to make a motion to continue this to the September 4th council meeting. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Very
Questions
good
or comments?
presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments on the motion?
to have the police department weigh in on this as well.
Police Department weigh in, okay?
It would give us a chance to also talk with St. Charles. I don't
Correct.
know if there's a contact at St. Charles
Yeah,
that.
do you have a contact that we can reach out to in St. Charles and just send it back to the city? Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so very much.
All right, okay.
But we need a vote on the,
All right, so all in favor of the motion to continue to September 4th, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No? Okay. That is continued. All right. Resolution 75-2025.
Deputy Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Missouri Public Utility Alliance, doing business as the Missouri Electric Commission, for installation and operation of the Hometown Grid Artificial Intelligence front-end service for the Kirkwood Electric and Water Departments in the amount of $37,100 for an initial term of 12 months, with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, contingent upon budgetary approval.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 75-2025 as read?
so move.
Second. Thank you. Questions or comments? Councilmember Litzo.
I've read this. I think I understand it, but again, is this a Mark Petty thing?
Been a
Yeah,
Christmas.
Mr. Petty,
we
would you
get-
like to come and
Could we
explain,
get
please?
Mr. Jack in the Box to come up here again?
So, um, and Chris kind of alluded to it. I mean, the whole thing about being able to answer the phone and to get responses back to people has gone through a transition period it's been, I guess, deep rooted in just the way the technology was, and now, what's available to you. And first, we started out, we answered the phone with dispatch, and there's been some incidents or situations where you've had mass volumes of calls and things of that nature, and then, dispatch gets overloaded, and, they finally, even back to Jack Plummer's days, it had admitted that this was a better way to do things, is to have a service, and the Doppler service then began we began the implementation of the Doppler service to answer phone calls that were not life-threatening 911 calls. So as time went on, I mean, I think, and Al alluded to it, I mean, the business of answering a phone call is not the most efficient way of processing a service request, particularly when there's a large volume. And I think as you heard some of the recordings that I sent you where you hear what other utility vendors do, the Verizons and the Spectrums and Amarin, everybody uses a front end that tries to allow for text or online and even verbal, that it uses an artificial intelligence front end to be able to take the critical information that you need, address and contact information and the type of complaint that you might have, and then to get that in so they can be processed and dispatched. And that's really what makes movement of that issue more efficient. If you spend a lot of time talking on the phone or talking like I'm talking now, it doesn't really do a lot of good. But when you can get that thing in and find out where the address is and what the problem is, and then get a truck rolling, now you're all of a sudden going to be able to do something good. The AI front end standardizes the communication. We then are assured that it's discernible. There's not I know people kind of think, well, Mark talks kind of funny, but you talk a certain way so that people can understand and you can get information communicated. The AI front end does that. And then at that point, it asks for a way to get back in touch with you. That contact information that's provided, again, either by text or by being verbal or being online, that information then is linked to the ways we send out messages now by mass notification. And when we update our outage map, for example, then we push that message back through to everybody that called in on the AI system. And we can do that with our system operator and do it in more efficient fashion. So this really moves us from where we are in trying to answer calls to being even more efficient in terms of answering calls, getting the information about what the problem is and where the location is and what your contact information is, and then turning around and getting you a message during the event. One of the interesting things that we were able to do is to talk to the other utilities in the Missouri Public Utility Alliance that are already using this service. And they kicked the tires and kind of tested it out. Rolla and, you know, some of the other ones. They can attest to the fact that they are able to use these things, even in other incidents, not just power outages, but tornadoes and other types of storms, and be able to do the same kind of thing efficiently. Take a large volume of calls or complaints or requests for service and turn those back around with updates on a regular basis. We've been able to start to talk about emergency management, for example, and how this would be used in those kind of instances where we have canned messages that we'll be able to set up and have already recorded and ready to go that can be then pushed back to people that are calling about an issue or an incident or something of that nature. And I think it just shows that, you know, there's a phone answering desire that people have here for sure. That option would still be available but by adding online text and certainly an AI front end, that we're going to be better than we are today.
All right, thank you. Councilmember McLean.
Very good job of explaining it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Reinecker? Schaefer?
Just one note, the 37,100, that's for just this year, but then it's 22,100 annually.
That is correct. This is another one of those deals where you have a setup fee and then it's less as you go along. And again, this is not just electric, but also will include water.
Yeah, thank you.
Member Jack Sedgwick? All right, thank you. Any
Thank
final
you.
questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Petty. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sedgwick.
Yes.
All right, resolution passes. Now we move on to city council reports. Does anyone have anything to report? Councilmember Lizzo.
Niagara Falls was very cool.
That's a good report.
Nothing else.
Jump in the barrel.
If you, yeah, if you wonder why I'm kind of off,
I
it's
have
because I'm
nothing to
still
report. Thank you.
getting acclimated.
Councilmember Reinecker.
Nope.
All right, Councilmember Schaefer.
Nothing.
Councilmember Jack Sedgwick.
Councilwoman Jack Sedgwick.
Councilwoman Jack
What
Sedgwick.
about?
Councilwoman Lizzo.
Applies to everyone. She's ready to retain me over here, so.
Oh, boy, here we go.
All right, Chief Administrative Officer reports, Mr. Hawes.
Yes, I've just got to, excuse me, an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from the Alpine Shop at 440 North Kirkwood Road to hold their annual swap tent sale on October 10th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., October 11th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and October 12th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Setup will take place on October 4th and tear down on October 13th. And this would need city council approval by voice vote.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the application?
So move.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just had one, is there an application fee to this, or is this provided at no
No
charge?
fees on
to the-
temporary outdoor permit.
I
variances.
wanted to make sure of that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? All right, application passes.
I have no other reports. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I have nothing to
Attorney
report.
reports, okay. Last but not least, city clerk report.
Right, I do have one this time, you guys. I have the report of the August 6th, 2025 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The following action was taken. By a vote of 6-0 with 1 abstention, the commission recommended approval of a B2 mixed-use development plan at 300 North Kirkwood Road. A public hearing will be scheduled for this for September 4th. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of a request for a time extension of an approved site plan for Villa di Maria Montessori School at 1280 Simmons Avenue. There will be legislation drafted in form of resolution for the next city council meeting after a presentation by staff on an application for a major telecommunications facility for the AT&T building at 115 West Adams Avenue. A subcommittee was appointed. The subcommittee will meet on the property on Monday, August 11th at 1 p.m. After a presentation by staff on application for a major site plan for a new parking lot and a special use permit for outdoor storage for Murphy Company at 444 East Elliott Avenue. A subcommittee was appointed. The subcommittee will meet on the property on Monday, August 18th at 8 a.m. That's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Seeing no further business, our next regularly scheduled council meeting will be on Thursday, August 21st, 2020.